Welcome everyone to the third webinar of our Doing Business in Mexico series, which aims to provide key information for U.S. companies looking to invest in Mexico. Today, we'll explore the opportunities that Nuevo León offers to American companies looking to find suppliers or expand their presence in North America. If you have any questions, please feel free to send them through the chat or the Q&A button on the bottom of your screen. To start off the webinar, I would like to introduce Francisco Ponton, our Board of Directors President, to give AmCham opening remarks. Welcome, Francisco.
Thank you, Jose. Good morning, everyone. My name is Francisco Ponton, and I'm the President of the Board of Directors at AmCham Mexico in the Monterrey chapter, and I'm as well the CEO of a steel warehouse in Mexico. First, I would like to welcome Mr. Lorenzo Aguilar, Undersecretary of Investment and Industrial Development in the Ministry of Economy and Labor of Nuevo León. As well, Andrés Ochoa Bunso, Chairman of the Board of Invest Monterrey and COFIDE. Héctor Tijerina, Executive Director of Invest Monterrey. Anabel Flores, Head of Foreign Investment in the Ministry of Economy and Labor of Nuevo León. And Jorge Barbosa, HR Director for Thermo Scientific in Nuevo León. I would also like to thank AmCham's key binational allies, the Mexican Embassy in Washington, D.C., and the American Embassy in Mexico City, whose teams are joining us today and have helped us share this event with key stakeholders. AmCham Mexico has been representing bilateral business for more than 100 years, strengthening the rule of law and promoting the integration of supply chains across North America. Through cooperation and investment, our companies continue to strengthen Mexico and support its economic development. Nuevo León currently concentrates 9% of all American foreign direct investment in Mexico, which represents more than $26.2 billion. Currently, we have more than 3,600 American companies operating in the state. Through the years, AmCham members have found business opportunities in different sectors, especially in industrial manufacturing, agro-industry, home appliances, and automotive manufacturing. For this reason, we are very excited to share this conversation with our members and potential investors all around Mexico and the United States to explore further ways to strengthen our ties. Thank you all again for joining us this morning. Please enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Francisco. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Lorenzo Aguilar, Undersecretary of Investment and Industrial Development in the Ministry of Economy and Labor of Nuevo León, and Anabel Flores, who will give a presentation on behalf of the Ministry of Economy and Labor of Nuevo León. Welcome, Lorenzo and Anabel.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jose, and thank you very much, Francisco, and all of you at American Chamber of Chapter Monterrey. For this opportunity. First of all, I would like to tell you, and I don't want to spoil the movie, but you know, our best promoters of investment in the state are our success stories. Success stories that today we add up to over 4,000 investments in the area that have decided to make Monterrey in the state of Nuevo León their second home. And I don't want to spoil the movie because you'll hear from one of them very soon. And you'll hear me speak about Nuevo León and Monterrey, and we are changing to speaking more a little bit about Monterrey than Nuevo León because that's what you see on the airports. That's what you see in cities in the boards where destination is Monterrey. So we'll make it more familiar to you, and we'll talk about Monterrey. When an enterprise is looking for making an expansion or a new investment, what do? They usually start with a business case. Usually a business case has a financial analysis, or they want to make it a financial decision. Let me tell you that when they choose Monterrey, the financial result, it's a byproduct. What they really are getting are many other things that at the end contribute to the financial result. Basically, they are getting the people of Monterrey, the people of Nuevo León. And just to be very brief, Monterrey geographically speaking, North Mexico. That's an advantage, but that's a natural advantage. We don't like to talk very much about that. We like to talk about what we've done through the years, through the centuries. And Monterrey is a very semi-arid area. Nothing is taken for granted. Everything that Monterrey has been worked very hard to get. So in the DNA of the persons of Monterrey, of Nuevo León, this hardworking, very not only hardworking but competitive business oriented is imprinted in our DNA. That's what you get when a company goes into Monterrey and invests into Monterrey. They get that culture, that set of values. Monterrey not only grows organically, Monterrey as well grows by immigration from other parts of the country. People that are working are willing to get a better quality of life. They risk everything to go to the north. They risk everything to go to Monterrey. So those persons share those same values. So companies when they go into Monterrey and they are thinking about if they will have enough labor force or good labor force, they don't have to worry about that. Monterrey is growing not only, as I tell you, organically, but by immigration. And we are growing with the best of the country. To give you a little bit of numbers, as I told you, 4,000 companies have decided to call Monterrey their home. Some of them are on their 9th expansion. What does this mean? They're very happy with the results that they are getting in Monterrey, in our area. And we, as the government, we like to see ourselves as part of a solution and not part of a problem. You won't see us and you won't hear us unless you need us. Hopefully you won't need us, because our best promoters, as I tell you, are our success stories. And we'll let them tell you always what their experience. You'll have it first-hand experience. Usually a question we get is about labor cost. And usually they want to know what's the labor cost per hour. I always tell them, you have to get the labor cost per unit, not per hour, because Monterrey labor is up to 4 times more productive than other parts of the country. I won't bore you with the statistics. You'll have a link with all this information and the data sources, so you can see them. But this makes the business case analysis not only for the first year, because usually when they make a decision, you should make it for the long run. You should make it for the mid-term or long-term decision. As well, you'll see in Monterrey, in Nuevo León, a very collaborative atmosphere. You'll see that investments, they don't compete locally, they compete globally. So they have developed a very robust supply chain locally. And I'm speaking mainly on the manufacturing sector, automotive sector, home appliance sector, and IT sector, principally. And so this only adds up every time a new company or a new expansion arrives into the area. Supply chain gets fortified. So you'll see this collaborative atmosphere, as I tell you, when you arrive to Monterrey. Well, at the end, as I tell you, it's the people. That's what you get when you arrive and you invest in Monterrey, in Nuevo León. And what the people and the values, core values of the population, citizens, give you. Thank you. I will be here during this conference to get to answer any questions you have at the end. Thank you. Annabelle?
Yes, Thank you very much for the welcome and the invitation. I would like to, as our Undersecretary Lorenzo Aguilar was mentioning, welcome you again to Monterrey from the state government of Nuevo León. And today I would like to take a few minutes to talk about some economic overview about our region and the results we had in 2020 before we go through the competitive advantages by our colleagues from Invest Monterrey, our investment promotion agency that are also here with us. So let's start a little bit with the economic overview. Nuevo León, which is our state, has the highest GDP per capita in Mexico. As you can see here, the country, Mexico, is represented by the blue color, and our state, Nuevo León, is represented by the purple one. And in terms of population, we have just received an update a couple of weeks ago from the official national poll that states that Mexico has a population of 126 million inhabitants, which positions Nuevo León, which 5.7 million, that's around 4.2%. Most of these inhabitants in Nuevo León are located inside of the metropolitan area of Monterrey. Monterrey is our capital city, and most of the economic activity is taking place in that area. In terms of labor force, around 4.6% of all the labor force in Mexico is located here in Nuevo León, and as you can see, compared with the last figures of population, there is a large labor force available for productive purposes here in Nuevo León. Speaking about GDP, every year Nuevo León contributes to around 8% of the national GDP, which is very interesting and very impressive because with only 4.2% of the population, the state contributes to around 8 to 10% every year. And this talks about the productivity that we were mentioning now. The labor force is not only available, but it's also very productive. And as you will see later in the presentation, Nuevo León is the state with the highest productivity in the state. At the end, what we mentioned, that is something that you will have to take into consideration when you build your business case. There is a lot of important things, but it's very important that you consider this productivity. In terms of GDP annual growth, just as an example, in 2018, Nuevo León's growth was 3.4 compared to 2.1 that was the national average growth. And as you can see, Nuevo León typically grows over national average, and that happens here. You can see in GDP per capita as well, and Nuevo León represents 17,000 when Mexico represents 9,500. Nuevo León and the Monterrey metropolitan area is a very manufacturing hub here. We are working on developing some other industries, but Nuevo León per se is a very manufacturing and has a very manufacturing soul. You can see that in terms of manufacturing GDP in 2019, around 11.2% represents or were contributed by Nuevo León. And also in the manufacturing exports, around 9.2% as well were exported from Nuevo León. All these things positions Nuevo León as the leading destination for foreign direct investment in the country as well. Usually every year Nuevo León is the #1 state that attracts the most foreign direct investment, and this was an example of 2019, but we are still waiting for the figures of the closing of 2020, but so far Nuevo León has been leading the results as well. A little bit of the results that we had in 2020. As we were mentioning, Nuevo León so far has been the leader as well in this year. Last year, 32 foreign companies announced their investment in Nuevo León. We worked with a lot of companies, and despite it was a difficult year for what was happening in the world, 32 foreign companies decided to announce their projects here, from where more or around 56% are new investments and 44 are expansions. As our Undersecretary was saying, these companies always share with us that they are very happy here Some of them, they are already in their 9th expansion. They come here and decide that they want to establish a facility, and at the end, they end up with 3-5 facilities. So this is very important to consider as well, because it talks that they are finding here what they need, that the business environment here is very friendly, and that they get to find what they need to keep growing. In terms of the projects by country, those 32 foreign companies that we announced or that were announced last year, as you can see, from those 32, 12 projects are from the USA. This talks about how close our relationship with the US is. US has been for many years our historical partner, economic partner. And you can see it represented here by the number of projects that arrive every year. This was only in 2020 that we worked directly with those 12 projects. This is important to mention. These are the projects that we worked closely with. There were some other projects that come here, and because, as we were saying, the environment is so friendly, they come, and sometimes they don't need that support because the business environment is already strong enough to support their project. But these projects here were the ones that we worked directly with to share all the information they needed for their business case, to show them around, some of them personally, some of them in a digital way because of the circumstances. But as we can see, the US has been always our leading partner. And this was more than a third part of all the projects that arrived from the US, and the rest of the projects came mainly from Asia and from Europe as well. And projects by industry, as we can see, mainly those 32 projects that arrived in 2020 came from the automotive industry. We are here in Monterrey metropolitan area. It's a very strong area in terms of automotive. You will see it in some graphs that our partners from Invest Monterrey will show later, but we have a very strong automotive presence here. We have a very strong home appliances, IT, and software industry, and those industries keep growing each year, and they keep developing this industrial hub in this north part of our country. And well, right now there are more than 4,000 foreign companies established in Nuevo León. More than a half come from the United States, which once again represents how strong our relationship is. Some of the main companies that are established here are, for example, Thermo, that they will be sharing with us their success story in a couple of minutes. They do here laboratory equipment for the health industry, and they've been here for over 10 years. But I will let them share their story with you a little bit later. We also have Whirlpool here. Whirlpool, they have 3 plants already in our state where they produce refrigerators, washing machines, and components. Plus, they also have here an innovation center and the largest distribution center for Latin America. Then we have Stanley Black & Decker, which was a project that we recently announced last year. It is also a very important project, a big project that was established a couple of months ago. They are leaders in advanced manufacturing and the production of industrial tooling, electrical tooling, and they are also here. Then we also have Jabil that was established here in 2019 with the production of electronic components with highly advanced technological processes. And all these companies, they keep investing because they feel the confidence that their operations will keep growing here in the state. And well, this is just the economic data that we wanted and some results that we wanted to share with you. This is our contact information from the Undersecretary Lorenzo Aguilar and myself, and we will be happy to support you with your business case alongside with Invest Monterrey. We have all the information you need, all the studies, all the agendas that we may work for you, and we would be very happy to get to know the potential projects that you have, and we can explore together. This is the best region for you to invest and to establish your project. And as well, now we will hear the competitive advantages and why all these companies that we mentioned now and why all those 4,000 companies decided to be established here. So I would like to share the word with our colleagues from Invest Monterrey that will share that information with us. And thank you very much. And we hope to talk to you soon and to welcome you soon in Nuevo León. And once again, welcome from the state government of Nuevo León.
Thank you, Lorenzo and Anabel, for that informative presentation. 32 foreign companies in 2020, that's very impressive. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions about that. So, and I'd like to, take advantage of this time to, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to just send them through the Q&A. And any of our panelists would be, happy to answer any questions. So now please welcome the president of Invest Monterrey and COFIDE, Andrés Ochoa Bunzo and Héctor Tijerina, Executive Director of Invest Monterrey, who will share a presentation on behalf of the newly formed organization to promote investment into the state, Invest Monterrey. So welcome, Andrés and Héctor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Jose. Thank you for the introduction. I am frankly delighted to be here with you this morning to assist in showcasing what we have to offer in the state of Nuevo León to companies such as those that you represent. This morning, I'm wearing two different hats. First, I'm wearing the hat as chairman of the Committee for the Promotion and Investment and Economic Development of the American Chamber Mexico Monterrey chapter. And secondly, I'm wearing the hat as chairman of the board and chairman of the executive committee of Invest Monterrey, which is a public-private partnership, an economic development organization, or EDO, in which different government agencies, private companies, the 4 largest universities in our state, and the largest private corporate organizations collaborate permanently to assure the continuous strengthening of our business environment. Anabel has shared with you some of the results of economic development that we have in our state. This is absolutely no coincidence. This is the result of efforts that have been made for over 100 years, not only to attract capital to our state, but to assure that the business environment is strong and conducive to very successful operations in our state. Not only manufacturing operations, all kinds of operations. We have a very strong financial system. We have a strong tourism sector, a strong retail sector, et cetera, et cetera. But what sets Monterrey and Nuevo León apart is certainly the strength of our manufacturing sector. Monterrey is a permanent part of the manufacturing strategy, of the manufacturing platform of many, many world-level companies that operate in our state. We're an integral part of the North American economy and an integral part of the global manufacturing platform for many of these companies. One of the factors that allow us to talk about this is the results that we have had in the recent past, in the last 12 months. The state of Nuevo León has grown, or we have more employment today than we had at pre-pandemic in the pre-pandemic era. In other words, during the COVID pandemic, the Nuevo León area has continued to grow and to strengthen. This gives you an idea of the stability, that we have to offer. So I won't take more time. I will let my colleague Hector Tijerina go into much more detail as we attempt to showcase the many different factors that allow our state to stand out, not only in Mexico, but also against most of the important industrial and economic platforms around the world. So, Hector, please take it away.
Thank you, Andres. So, hello everyone, good morning. Thank you, Mr. Francisco Ponton, President of AmCham, American Chamber in Monterrey, Ms. Grace Lingo, for inviting us to this important seminar. Everyone at the State Government of Nuevo León, Mr. Lorenzo Aguilar, Anabel Flores, thank you for being here. And well, as Mr. Andres Ochoa was mentioning, we recently launched last year Invest Monterrey. So what is Invest Monterrey? Invest Monterrey is a non-profit public-private partnership that is grouping together organizations interested in positioning Monterrey as the best place to invest and do business in Mexico, with the objective of attractive, productive investments, creating good jobs and multiple business opportunities for local companies. So Invest Monterrey is basically our investment promotion agency at the state level of Nuevo León. And even though we were created last year, we already have more than 90 members as part of the organization, and they are important companies and organizations from the private sector, the public sector, and of course the universities, which, as Anabel was mentioning, are very important here in Monterrey, because we have some of the best universities, not only from Mexico, but in Latin America. So what makes Monterrey very attractive for foreign investment? Why Monterrey has been the top investment attraction city in Mexico for the past 20 years? And this is because of many reasons. So we will start with mentioning, where is Monterrey? As you can see from this map, Monterrey is located in the northeastern region of Mexico, basically located in the backbone of the North American market. So from Monterrey, it's very easy to do business, not only with Mexico, but with the rest of North America. Recently, with the new USMCA, companies can feel very attracted to the North American region. This USMCA strengthens the North American competitiveness, makes it more attractive for companies to do business in the US, in Canada, and in Mexico, and they can feel free of having all the certainty they need in order to conduct foreign trade between the three countries. Monterrey is very well connected to the world. Logistically, we can mention that Monterrey's international airport has direct flights to all those small planes in the graph, which, as you can see, are the most important hubs in the U.S. in terms of connectivity, like Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, L.A., New York. So basically, you can get anywhere in the world with just one stop. So going into foreign direct investment, Anabel was mentioning results from last year, and I will show you the results of since 2015. So as you can see, Monterrey has been the top attractor of foreign direct investment in the country, attracting almost 18 billion US dollars, followed by the state of Mexico with 16 billion, and then Jalisco, Coahuila with 10 billion. So this graph shows that Monterrey has been very, very attractive for foreign direct investment in the last couple of years. And where is all this foreign direct investment going to? Basically, manufacturing industries. Monterrey has an industrial history of more than 130 years. Since the end of the 19th century, industrial factories started operating here in the state, and that's why we've become a very important manufacturing power hub for Latin America. And from all these investments in manufacturing industries, most of it goes to everything related with the automotive sector. Almost 44%, all this foreign direct investment goes to the automotive sector, and then many other sectors, like Annabelle was mentioning, like food and beverages and some others. From where is this investment coming from? Since 2015, the U.S. has been the country from which the most projects have been arriving to Monterrey. More than 200 projects from American companies have established in Monterrey. This is between completely new companies in terms of companies arriving to Mexico for the first time and companies expanding operations here in the city, which is very important because every year around 60% of all the foreign direct investment projects that are announced in Monterrey are from companies that are already established here, and because they are having very good results and they realize that there's a very good productivity, they decide to grow. So this is very, very common for us to see that companies arrive here with a certain project in mind, and after 2, 3, or 4 years, they decide to grow. After the U.S., South Korea has been a very important investor recently in terms of amount of projects, and this is basically because of an investment that was made by Kia Motors. This automotive OEM decided to establish 4 years ago here in Monterrey its most technologically advanced operation in the world. And with Kia Motors, many of Hyundai suppliers and many other Korean companies from other sectors started to arrive. Some other countries like Japan, Germany, France, Spain have been steady investors in Monterrey since many years ago. And I would like to highlight as well the Chinese experience we've been having recently, as you already know, because of many international events happening since a couple of years ago. Many Chinese companies have been relocating to the North American market. Most of them have been establishing in the U.S., but of course, some of them have also been looking into Mexico, and they've been starting operations in the last couple of years. Human capital, this is probably our most important asset in Monterrey, and that's because of the productivity of our people. Our Undersecretary Lorenzo Aguilar was mentioning that the companies investing in Mexico need to understand that it's more important to realize not the wage per hour, but the productivity per hour, which is very important because as you can probably imagine, Monterrey is not the cheapest place in terms of wages, in terms of salaries of human capital in Mexico, but it's the most productive human capital in the country. So when you take into account productivity, it makes a lot more sense to establish here in Monterrey, and that's why many transnational companies from all around the world have been calling Monterrey home since a couple of years ago. And our universities are very, very, very important. Monterrey is an educational hub, not only an industrial hub, but also an educational hub. And this is because we have some of the best universities in Latin America. And just to give you a couple of examples, Monterrey Tech, or Tecnológico de Monterrey, which was created after taking into consideration the MIT model, many decades ago, is the top ranked university in Mexico, and it also hosts the top ranked MBA program in Latin America. Another example, University of Nuevo León, UANL, has the largest engineering school in the country. In terms of okay, just to give you a couple of examples in terms of human capital as well, More than 8,000 engineers graduate every year from our universities. More than 20,000 bachelors as well, and more than 1,000 masters and PhD graduates are coming out of our business schools every year. And of course, more than 20,000 technicians, which are also very important for industrial activities establishing here in our state. And of course, there's a lot of success stories. One of them is Johnson Controls, that they have industrial operations here in the city, but they also recently launched a shared services center from which they give service not only to their Mexican customers and suppliers, but also to American customers and suppliers here from Monterrey. Industry 4.0 and innovation. Monterrey, we were mentioning that Monterrey has more than 130 years of industrial activity, and now recently is moving forward into a more advanced manufacturing operation. So we've been launching Monterrey 4.0, Nuevo León 4.0, which is an initiative in which universities, private sector, and public sector got together in order to promote the attraction of Industry 4.0 into Monterrey's factories. This picture is from Kia Motors factory here in Monterrey, which is a highly automated operation. And there's many others. There's companies like French Schneider Electric that they just launched and started operations in one of their most technologically advanced operations in the world as well, here in Monterrey. Continuing with research and technology, Monterrey has an innovation park, technology and innovation park called PIT. This park is very close to the international airport and hosts more than 50 R&D centers inside the park. The park is almost 272 acres big, so there's a lot of opportunity for companies that are willing to establish an R&D operation in Mexico to establish here inside the park, and the state government offers very attractive incentives for companies willing to establish an R&D operations inside the park. Okay, so in terms of real estate, Monterrey hosts more than 100, is home to more than 140 industrial parks. So this is the most in the country. And there's many industrial developers that can build a factory like anywhere of the top cities in the world. So there's many companies like Lego, like Thermo, like many others that have been establishing very big operations here in the city, and they have been growing because of all this infrastructure of industrial parks and industrial developers. We also have 13 formalized clusters that represent the most strategic industries in which our state has been focusing since the last decade, and this has been a very attractive model in terms of promoting these different industries. The automotive, IT and software, home appliances are some of the biggest clusters in the city, but there's also 10 more clusters that have been doing very good things in the last couple of years. So Monterrey is a diversified economy, as you can see from this graph. There's very important transnational companies from all around the world that have been establishing in Monterrey since many years ago. Of course, the automotive sector is very important. We were mentioning Kia, but there's also an assembly facility from companies like Polaris, like Daimler, like Caterpillar, and like International Navistar as well, that have been assembling vehicles since many years ago in the city. Home appliances, we're home to many important companies as well in that industry. Recently, food and beverages has been growing a lot in terms of important companies arriving to the city, like Niagara, Hershey's, Mars, Mondelez, and some others. And of course, in other sectors, companies, American companies like Jabil, Stanley Black & Decker, Thermo Fisher, Kohler, Callaway, and many others have been establishing operations here, but very importantly, growing as well. There's many success stories of these companies growing in the last couple of years. Quality of life, Monterrey has a very high quality of life. There's more than 15 certified hospitals, many modern shopping centers. The city is growing north in terms of many new buildings that are being built all around the city. There's high-class golf courses and many other activities for foreign people arriving to live here into Monterrey. And finally, some of our services, we can help any of your companies, giving you investment consultancy, helping you with your business cases, networking with local partners, suppliers, customers. We can help you organize business agendas here in the state. At the end of the day, our goal as an investment promotion agency is for you to have all the information you need in order to take the best decision for your company. So from our side, that's the information we have prepared. Thank you everyone for letting us have a couple of minutes to talk to everyone connected in the seminar. Thank you.
No, thank you, Andres.
Wait, Jose, before we finish, I just want to stress that all of these services that Hector has referred to are free of charge for any of the companies that may be interested in our state and in our city. So not only our organization, but all of the members of our organization are ready and able to help your companies in doing whatever research may be necessary, and once a decision is made, in assisting you to implement a very successful project. So you have our contact information. Don't hesitate to contact us at any time.
Well, thank you, Andres and Hector. And I think, Invest Monterrey is an excellent example of the close collaboration between public and private sector in the state. And transitioning, finally, we want to welcome Jorge Barbosa, Human Resources Director from Thermo Fisher Scientific, which is an excellent example of a success story of investing in Nuevo León. So please take it away, Jorge.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose. And I want to first thank the whole American Chamber team for the invitation to this webinar and share a little bit about our history in Monterrey and about our company, of course. Well, first, Thermo Fisher, it's a medical company dedicated to produce products and provide services to very different kind of customers, mainly hospitals and laboratories for different purposes around the world. About our company, the first is our mission. Our mission is to enable our customers to make the world healthier, cleaner, and safer by providing these high-quality products and services so they can serve others to make this world better in a better way, basically. What about Monterrey? How did Thermo Fisher start in Monterrey? What's our history down here? Well, we started a site in 2009 that currently has 305 colleagues, and it's about 88,000 square feet, where we produce basically plastic labware, filterware, containers, and bottles that are used in hospitals and laboratories for testing and different kind of analysis there they do to produce either food or do medical testing for people or animals or different kind of purposes Then, when we started this company, we invested a lot in our people and allowed us to achieve some recognition or awards during the following years. Basically, in 2011, we got certified as an ISO 13485 company, and we got certified by the FDA as a medical supplier. And from 2015 to 2017, we were awarded with the Best Plan Award, which is an internal Thermo Fisher award we have globally in the safety category. And in 2018, in our continuous improvement methodology, we achieved the silver level, which is the second best level we can achieve around the world. With this achievement, the company decided to start a second plant in 2020. That company currently has 1,500 people or colleagues, and it's about 145 square feet. It's been very, very good progress that the two plants have done during the last 12 months, that the company decided to extend the second plant and open a plant C, which is a building just next to the plant B, and we call it B plus or plant C, which is the same project, and it's starting in 2021. We already start hiring new colleagues for this, and the forecast is to end this year with 1,100 colleagues by December. And that building has 150,000 square feet. And I wanted to share a little of demographics, which basically our current diversity with the 1,800 people we have, it's about 55% of them are female and 45% are male. And we have some other metrics that we have been measuring, month over month, as a lot of companies does, like turnover. That's been very good. We are below 3% of turnover. And training. It's very easy to train people because you can find either suppliers to do that, or we can do it internally, as the educational level of the labor that we can find here is basically secondary. Most of our colleagues has a base education of secondary, and for salaried people, most of them, or I would say 95% of the population, has a university or college degree. And so that's one of the reasons that why Thermo Fisher decided to locate these operations down here. Our inspiration: continue focusing as a customer-centric company, achieving the highest customer satisfaction through products of high quality and the best service we can provide in terms of timing and in terms of communications with them. Obviously, comply with the highest regulations in our industry, and establish a customer-first mindset in all our colleagues, which is something that is very important to our company. Everything we do, first we think if that's going to hit the customer some way and how we can do it better. Obviously, continue our business processes, becoming a manufacturing center of excellence for laboratory products through our continuous improvement disciplines that we have. Being a cost-effective operation and having the highest return of investment with other internal operations that we have. And obviously, achieve a world-class safety level. We want every one of our colleagues to go back home as they get here at the beginning of their journey. And also, we are a people-focused organization. Okay, we look for the best talent outside that we can find, but also we continuously try to develop and train our talent to either grow in their careers and achieve better results for them and our organization. Also, we want to be recognized as a top place to work, providing the best employee services, the best management, the best communication, and the best infrastructure inside of our facilities, so they can feel very comfortable and work and energized. And obviously, one of the challenges we had is how we transfer the Thermo Fisher culture to more than 2,500 new people, new colleagues, right? So we developed a program that is monthly deployed to all of them, not only on the wording, so we can keep reinforcing the Thermo Fisher culture in our colleagues to create this global mindset and live in our values, okay? And why Thermo Fisher decided to invest in Monterrey? Basically, I think I will repeat some of the last slides that you already seen, but basically the city infrastructure, not only in the logistics, that we are close to our customers and the distribution centers, but also with a good base of suppliers that is located here in Monterrey, and all the support, industrial support that we can other places to keep or to build these two large new operations and maintaining them. Of course, on top of the IT services that you can find in the city that are very good, honestly. And there are some other topics that you can find about the city that were already mentioned, but it was a very good option for our company to locate this operation. Of course, a well-developed plastic industry was very important also, because all our products are basically plastic products or plastic assemblies that we provide to our customers. The labor availability, there are more than 3 million available candidates that we can find in the market, and the labor stability in Monterrey is very important. I mean, there's been more than 20 years without a labor strike down here. That's very important for us. Of course, having a good relationship with the union is critical, and we try to do the best to have our colleagues in great conditions with great benefits and having them engaged and energized to continue working for us. Of course, Monterrey has a competitive and affordable labor cost compared to other places, not saying China, but internally in Mexico, we have very good competitive labor costs, and you can find a very good educational level. Monterrey has one of the highest educational levels across the country. As was just mentioned, more than 5,000, 8,000 engineers come out of school every year, and they continue educating themselves with master's degrees and PhDs. And that's very good for us, because that's very important to get talented people to become part of us, our company. And of course, the low employee turnover. A bit talking about direct labor. If you compare Monterrey to other cities across the country, you will see the turnover is lower than the border or the center of Mexico, because people tend to stay more. And if you treat them with infrastructure, well culture, well management, that will lower even more the turnover. And that's very important, not only for being hiring, but also to keep the talent, to train them to development, and also that directly impacts in the quality and the service that you provide to your customers. So basically, that's what our experience that we have had here in Monterrey as to open these two new operations, and the third one since 2009. And I just wanted to open the forum for any questions that you have for us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jorge, for that presentation. I think, we're very excited. Not only is Thermo Fisher a AmCham member, but they're a great example of, American companies moving to Nuevo León and successfully expanding. So thank you so much, Jorge, for that. So now I think it's time to open the floor for some questions, and we're going to stick around for a while. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to send them through the chat or the Q&A section. To start off, and I think this is a question sort of following up some of the current trends that Lorenzo, Anabel, Andres, and Hector were mentioning. And please chime in. This is an open discussion. If you guys have anything to add in any specific question. We've seen a high level interest in, reshoring operations from, countries such as Asia or American companies that are based in, China, Asia, and moving those operations into Mexico, and in this case, Nuevo León. And so you guys mentioned 32 foreign companies, which is, a very high number. It's very impressive. So what has been your, experience thus far, promoting Nuevo León during a pandemic and closing projects during a pandemic? Could you talk a little bit more about that and what we can look forward in, 2021 in terms of, investment attraction in Nuevo León? And, please feel free to, chime in.
Yes, if that's okay with you, I'll take just a minute to answer before anyone else would like to comment something. In terms of the trends that we've been seeing and what we expect for 2021 is, of course, a solid and rapid recovery of the economy since we had this difficult situation last year. And with respect of the question, if or what it is that those companies are asking us about building their investment case here, we can tell you that what we have been seeing is that they do really need, or they are looking to complement their full investment plan. There is not just one thing that they're really looking for, like, for example, the question that I'm seeing here in the chat. They're asking if they are really looking for the effect of the regional content established in the USMCA. That is a factor, but it is very important to mention that it's not the only factor. As Thermo Fisher was mentioning, there are some other competitive advantages that they really look forward to have when they arrive here, which is a complete supply chain integration, the productivity of the people, the competitive labor cost, the stable economy, and the strong economy that we also presented. So they take all those topics into consideration, and at the end, the result is that they find that Nuevo León is the best place to invest. So that's what we are expecting for this year as well. We expect a rapid recovery, and we are ready to help all those companies that are already reopening their business case for this year.
Yes, and Jose, I would like to add a little bit to what Anabel is saying regarding precisely the pandemic situation. Companies have in the past years made the world a lot smaller. Communications, like we are currently right now here in this webinar, couldn't be taking place in the past, and we can be physically anywhere. But the reality is that the parts do have still to travel the 50,000 miles from Asia to America, to Mexico. So now they are realizing that with this pandemic, that really those 50,000 miles are a lot of miles. So plans for expansions and relocations are now taking that into consideration. So with the nearshoring state of mind has given us probably an advantage toward many other countries or areas in Mexico.
Yeah, thank you, Anabel and Lorenzo. I think, that's very informative. And like I said, it is very impressive, have concrete results, during a pandemic of expansion. So that is, I think that's indicative of, Nuevo León as an investment destination. Andres and Hector, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add sort of in that question, or like what we can look forward in 2021 with Invest Monterrey and, attraction of investment.
Oh, yes, Jose. Historically, and we can go back to the 1970s, we have seen that whenever we have had different crises, after the crisis and when the recovery comes, many of these companies consider the reestablishment or the strengthening of their manufacturing platforms in other parts. That is one of the reasons in Mexico in general and in the state of Nuevo León in particular, we have seen spikes in the growth of industrial operations after these crises. This most recent crisis brought on by the pandemic is no exception. Many companies consolidated their manufacturing base during or prior to the pandemic, and as we are starting to see the recovery, they are considering reestablishing their operations or opening new operations in the state of Nuevo León. So we're seeing quite a bit of activity. Lorenzo has already referred to the Chinese phenomenon. Many companies are reconsidering whether they want to be dependent on manufacturing in such faraway locations, with the consequences that they suffered during the pandemic. So they are seriously considering nearshoring to the border state of Nuevo León.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Andres. I absolutely agree with that. So there's a question for Jorge. Jorge, I think there's a lot of interest in, learning more about, recruiting in Nuevo León and finding talent in Nuevo León. So could you talk a little bit more about your experience of identifying, top engineering and manufacturing talent from, some of the universities in Nuevo León, or even, about the labor force in Nuevo León?
Well, it's always been a challenge to recruit, 2,500 people. It's difficult. It's not easy. I'm not saying that everything has been very easy. It's not. It's a lot of volume. However, we have been able to find very good talent, I would say, even technical, due to our plastics function. It's been kind of easy to find good talent, train. Obviously, we have to do something additional to make them understand our processes and our culture. But it hasn't been difficult to find the right talent in the market to hire. We already have hired 1,400 people in the last 12 months. So it's been good work with universities, with some recruiting agencies, I may say that, also with the American Chamber, and we have been able to allocate the right resources in the right spots in our organization to make the operation work the right way. So it's not difficult. It's just that it takes time, but it's not difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Jorge. I think we have run out of time, but If you have any further questions, please feel free to send us an email to trade@amcham.org.mx. I will put it in the chat as well. And we can put you in touch with any of the panelists in this webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Thanks to our panelists. On behalf of AmCham Mexico, we thank you all for joining us today, and please receive these virtual recognitions in gratitude for your participation this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, and everybody stay warm and stay safe.
You too.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Goodbye. Have a nice day.